Welcome back to Seahawks Now, everybody. Interesting talk about the Seahawks being a sleeper team to draft a quarterback in 2025. That's interesting. Plus, we talk about the Seattle Seahawks' biggest draft need. Who's going to be? A quarterback, wide receiver, a defensive end, an offensive lineman? I don't know, guys. We're going to be talking about that. Plus, the Seahawks have signed a new safety. It's DeAnthony Bell, former Browns safety and special teams ace, as he's being called. That's all we're going to talk about today right here on Seahawks Now. So if you like what you see, make sure, as always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and comment down below, guys. Do you think the Seahawks need to draft a quarterback in this year's draft? Obviously, they just moved off of Geno Smith. They moved on to Sam Darnold. But like we talked about yesterday, and like we're going to continue to talk about up until the draft, this Sam Darnold contract is very much a team-friendly deal. And it's going to be super easy if they want to. They can get out of this contract within 1 year. So this could end up being a 1 year, effectively speaking, it's a 1 year, $55 million contract with 2 more years and another $40 million that they could give to him if they like it. But if they wanted to, they could get out of this contract after just 1 season. They'd only owe him $9 million for the rest of they owe him $18 million for the next 2 years. They owe him $37 million for this year. So, yeah, it would be super easy for them to draft a quarterback and do the Michael Penix thing, which is kind of what the Falcons did, right? They signed Kirk Cousins, but then they drafted Michael Penix. They sat Penix for a year. Cousins wasn't working out, so now they've moved off from Cousins and moved on to Michael Penix. The difference is for the Falcons, they're going to have to pay Kirk Cousins to be the most expensive backup quarterback in the league. On the Seahawks side of things, they can very easily just release Darnold after 1 year if it doesn't work out. So that begs the question, should they draft a quarterback either as an insurance policy or for the future? Field Yates of ESPN, very respected reporter, he says the Seahawks are definitely considering it. At least he thinks they are, because they are a sleeper team, according to him, to draft a quarterback in the 2025 draft. Now, I don't know how much a sleeper team, sleeper to me indicates that there's a real opportunity here for them to make a move like that, and I do think that there is. I can definitely see that as a potential possibility. I don't know how likely it is. I don't know what Fields Yates knows that we don't know, but I would love to see it. And Field Yates made it sound like not only are they a sleeper team to draft a quarterback, they're a sleeper to draft a quarterback in the first or the second round. That is huge if true, because I do think that, anybody can draft a quarterback in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. Most of the time, those guys don't work out. But if you're grabbing a quarterback in the 2nd round or even the 1st round, all of a sudden, that's something that could legitimately take you really far. Like, that is something that could really, really help. And so, yeah, that kind of fires me up. That kind of fires me up for this draft, because I think the Seahawks should draft a quarterback. I've been saying I really like Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss in the 2nd round. Here's what Field Yates has to say. He says that not only are the Seahawks a sleeper team, he also believes that the Rams, Saints, and potentially the Giants are a sleeper team. Although the Giants, they could have an opportunity to draft Shedeur Sanders in the 1st round. According to ESPN expert Matt Miller, this is what he has to say. He says the Sam Darnold redemption story is great, but there's a chance he doesn't maintain the level of success he had in 2024 now that he doesn't have Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell calling the plays and a great receiver duo supporting him. And given the short term of his contract and the large payout in year 1, the Seahawks could still look to add at the position. The Seahawks, yeah, I think it could happen. I really think it could happen. For me, it would be Jackson Dart. Like, that's just the truth. For me, I would sign Jackson, or I would draft Jackson Dart if he's available in the 2nd round. I don't think I would take him in the 1st round. I don't think he's a 1st round talent, but I would take him in the 2nd round. I think he feels like a Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts kind of guy where, yeah, he was a 2nd round pick, but he has a lot of room to grow. I just don't see the physicality and just the attributes. I don't see that as a 1st round pick, but I see him as a 2nd round pick. I would hammer it. I would draft Jackson Dart, and I think there's a real chance it still could happen. So I think if you're a Seahawks fan and you're kind of soured after the Sam Darnold move because you're thinking, man, we're going to draft a quarterback, and now you're thinking, man, we might not, There's still hope. I think it's going to happen. Let's move on, guys. What is the biggest draft need? So I said I don't think the Seahawks should take Jackson Dart in the first round. The first round needs to be your biggest need. And I think it's very clear what the biggest need right now is. It's the offensive line. It just clearly is the offensive line. There's no other way to put it. The Seahawks haven't had a top 10 offensive line since their Super Bowl years in 2013, 2014, 2015. That was the last time. It has been a full decade since they've had a top 10 offensive line. It's been 10 years. So, yeah, that's definitely the biggest need, and I think there's plenty of guys in the draft. Obviously, you look at guys like Armand Membu out of Missouri, who a lot of people think could be a nice fit in Seattle. It feels like with that first-round pick, the Seahawks have to take an offensive lineman. I'm willing to hear it out for quarterback just because, again, I know if there was a third guy that's like, yeah, clearly he's a first-round talent quarterback, I would maybe agree, but they need to take an offensive lineman. They need to build that offensive line. Very few quarterbacks can succeed with a bad O-line. I really hammer this point a lot because I think it's just so accurate of how football works. Football is a big team sport, but there are certain position groups that really matter in terms of how they work together on the field. Quarterback, most important, but right below the quarterback is the line. How many quarterbacks in the NFL have we seen have real success? And I'm not talking like, yeah, they've won some games. How many quarterbacks have made a playoff run with a bad O-line? We've seen Lamar Jackson do it when he was young, but now he has a good line. We've seen Mahomes make the Super Bowl with a pretty bad line that year that he lost to Tom Brady and the Bucs, but even he struggled in that Super Bowl. We've seen Josh Allen play behind some mediocre lines and look pretty good. And that's kind of it. We've seen Joe Burrow look pretty good behind some bad O-lines. Everybody else, they need a good offensive line to succeed. Look at Jared Goff. Look at the difference that it makes playing in Detroit. His first year when they had a bad offensive line, he was terrible. Last year, he was an MVP candidate because he looked so much better behind a good offensive line. So, yeah, having a great O-line really, really can affect whether a quarterback looks good or bad. And I think for Sam Darnold's sake, the Seahawks absolutely need to add to their offensive line this year in the draft. I think it's their biggest need. All right, finally, guys, the Seahawks have signed a new safety and a special teams ace. His name is DeAnthony Bell. Comes from the Cleveland Browns. DeAnthony Bell, yeah, he's been described as a special teams ace. He's probably more of a depth piece as far as defense goes. He actually did start 4 games on the Browns defense in 2023, but he was definitely more of a depth piece. He plays in every game, but he doesn't start a whole lot. He started 4 games in 23, and then he only started 1 game last year. 2 career interceptions in what is 7 starts. He's 28 years old, which is interesting because he didn't actually play his first NFL game until 2022. Already, he was already 26 when he saw his first action in the league. So he definitely kind of got a late start, but he's a hard worker. He comes out of Iowa Central College in Kansas, which is an interesting place to come from, man. I've not heard of that college before, so that's interesting. But yeah, as a defense, he'll be a good depth piece. His big thing is on special teams. He's known as a special teams ace, a special teams captain. 28 tackles in 2023, 19 in 2024, and the majority of those did come on special teams. He plays a lot on the kind of kick returns and the kickoffs. He's also actually returned a couple of kicks. He has 42 yards on kickoff returns. I guess he's returned 1 kickoff in his career, 42 yards. So not a big-time kick returner. He could do it if we needed him to, but he's more so just a good special teams guy to have out there. So I think it's a fine move. It's a cheap deal for a veteran who is clearly he's a hard worker because he worked his way up to the NFL by the time he was 26. He spent 3 years in the league now. Good on special teams. And yeah, I mean, solid safety depth. If we need it, he'll be good. He'll be a good guy to have at practice as well. So I like the signing. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up everything for today. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe. Comment down below. What do you think is the biggest draft need? Is it offensive line? Do you agree with me or do you disagree? Do you think it's quarterback, running back, wide receiver? I could hear arguments, so let me know down below. I want to discuss. We're going to talk Seahawks down in the comments. I love to see it. As always, guys, until next time, go Seahawks.